It's a Sunday afternoon of Ranger baseball from the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. It's the Rangers wrapping up their 3-game series with the Oakland A's. And good afternoon, I'm Bob Carpenter along with Steve Busby. Buzz, it was a well-pitched game on both sides yesterday, but a little wildness cost Edwin Correa the victory on Saturday.
You're right, Bob. A couple of young pitchers, Eric Plunk and Edwin Correa, going after it yesterday. Both of them had a lot of walks. Unfortunately for the Rangers and Edwin, the walks cost the Rangers a ball game. However, on the positive side, they did come back against a very tough young pitcher and make it a very close ball game.
On the positive side as well, from Friday night, Orlando Mercado is not seriously injured. Nothing broken. He will not be on the DL. In fact, he can play if needed. But with 5 other players on the disabled list, it's the ongoing story of how well this team has played without key players.
You're right. Now, Darryl Porter, the latest addition to that 21-day disabled list, he was put on with what could be a stress fracture. They're not sure, but you remember he was hurt in Chicago, so he's going on the disabled list. And, of course, you have the other 4 that are on the DL, and the one that's closest to being ready of all those is Larry Parrish, and it's still going to be a matter of 5 or 6 days before Parrish can come back and rejoin the ball club. So it's amazing they have done as well. It's a credit to Bobby Valentine and the Rangers spirit for playing as well as they have with all the injuries.
Pitching matchup today, you never know what's going to happen when Bobby Witt gets out there, but he had a great game at Minnesota the other night, and another right-hander, Chris CODIROLI, for the Oakland A's.
Well, you sure like to see Bobby Witt go out and throw the kind of ball game he threw in Minneapolis the other night, throwing strikes right from the beginning of the game, and I think that has to be a big confidence builder for Bobby. Chris CODIROLI, on the other hand, has been on a negative roll, 4-7. He's a much better pitcher than that, as he showed last year. He won 14 ball games for a mediocre Oakland A's team. So it should be a very interesting matchup this afternoon.
So the Rangers would love to win this one here today, take 2 out of 3 at Oakland like they did at Minnesota, and then head on down south to take on the Angels. Coming up next from Oakland, the Rangers and the A's. A bright, sunshiny, and cool afternoon here in Oakland. Here is the Rangers starting lineup for the ball game today. O-ODDIBE McDowell is in center field, followed by Toby Harrah. Then comes Pete O'Brien and Pete Incaviglia. Gary Ward's in left field. Ruben Sierra's in right. Gino Petralli is the catcher. Steve Buechele at third, and Scott Fletcher is the shortstop.
And defensively, the A's have Jose Canseco in left field, Stan Javier, the center fielder, and Mike Davis in right. Bruce Bachty, the first baseman, Tony Phillips at second, Alfredo Griffin at short, and Carney Lansford, the third baseman. Behind the plate, Jerry Willard this afternoon, and on the mound, 28-year-old right-hander Chris CODIROLI, making his 14th start of the year. He has had problems in his last 5 outings. He has dropped 4 of his last 5 decisions. His last start, a loss at Chicago on the 7th of June. Sox winning that ball game by a score of 10-3. CODIROLI went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 7 runs. Against the Rangers, this is his 10th career appearance and his 8th career start. He is 3-2 with a 5.74 ERA. However, here at the Coliseum, he is a perfect 3-0 in 4 appearances with a 4.68 ERA. So Chris CODIROLI trying to get that record a little more in sync with the way he has pitched. He's thrown the ball well, but 4-7, a little bit misleading. He has probably been the most consistent on this A's staff.
Here are the umpires for the ball game this afternoon. Tom Leppert is calling the balls and strikes. Ted Hendry is at first, Jim Evans at second, and Durwood Merrill is at third. The Rangers have a record on the road after yesterday's loss of 16-13. They are 3-2 on the trip, trying to make it 2 straight series when they've won 2 out of 3 on their way to Anaheim to take on the Angels tomorrow night. And down there this afternoon, Charlie Lebrand is throwing for the Royals and Ron Romanek for the Angels. The Rangers start the game 3.5 games up on California and 4.5 up on Kansas City in the American League West. So Ranger fans, for a change, are rooting for the Royals again this afternoon as we get set for things here in Oakland. Bright, sunshiny day, Buzz, and you and I were talking about the weather conditions here on Friday night. And from your experience, the ball carries better here during the daytime than it does during the evening hours.
Normally it does, Bob. The air's not quite as heavy. It's a little bit warmer in the daytime. The breeze seems to have more of an effect, blowing the ball out toward the alleys in left center, right center field. So it's not as much a pitcher's ballpark during the day, although it is still a very friendly ballpark for pitchers. In general, the ball still does not carry as well as in some other parks.
375 in the power alleys, 400 straightaway center here at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. It'll be O-ODDIBE McDowell leading off for the Rangers against the right-hander. The Third baseman Carney Lansford is already picking up things and cleaning things out ahead of where he is going to play very shallow on the infield. And as O-ODDIBE steps in with a .265 batting mark, we are about to get underway. It's the rubber game of the 3-game series. O-ODDIBE has 9 home runs and 23 RBIs. And he hits the first one back to the left as we're underway at 1:08 Oakland time. The A's are .500 at home this year with a record of 14-14. They've had their problems on the road where they are 12 games, or rather 10 games under .500. O-ODDIBE offered at the bunt, took a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-2. Breaking ball high and tight. CODIROLI likes to throw the slider to the left-handed hitters, Buzz. It makes him a very difficult pitcher to hit when he has that pitch working for him.
It does, Bob, and he likes to change speeds with that breaking ball, too. Every once in a while, he'll try that backdoor breaking ball.
O-ODDIBE went around, and he is gone.
Just like that one, he got the breaking ball coming in over the outside part of the plate, and before O-ODDIBE could check his swing on the pitch that broke down low out of the strike zone, it was strike 3.
And thus Toby Harrah will be the hitter. Toby's hitting .213 with a couple of home runs and 21 RBIs. 1 for 3 in the ball game yesterday, and there weren't very many hits against Plunk, Mooneyham, and Ontiveros. The Rangers only had 5 hits in that game, and Oakland, in winning, only had 3 in that 3-2 win. Each team was helped by some wildness by the opposing pitchers. A ball and a strike to Harrah. CODIROLI, we're still debating. They call him CODIROLI around here. He is from Oxnard, California. 6'1", 160. It's upstairs to Toby. 2 balls and a strike. Toby had a good year against Oakland last year. He hit .345 against the A's. Rangers are number 8 in the American League, hitting .263. Now that may sound sort of down the chart to you, but Minnesota's hitting .274, so there's only 11 points difference between the top 8 teams. Rangers, of course, were up around the #1 mark throughout the early months of the season. Here's the 3-1. Toby took a fastball at the letters in the outside corner. Threw another strike, and Toby hit it just foul down the left side. Rangers have won 10 of their last 12, and they have an outstanding record against the Western Division clubs so far at 15-7. The A's are 12-13, and Toby has the game's first hit, a ringing single to Jose Canseco in left field.
Now, the first time that Chris CODIROLI got behind this afternoon, Toby Harrah made him pay for it with that base hit on a 3-2 pitch. That's one thing that CODIROLI cannot do, and that's why he has been struggling a bit of late, is that he has gotten behind too many hitters. He has not walked all that many. When you look at his statistics, walked 35 and 78 innings. That is not outrageous, but he has pitched from behind far too often for his liking.
Pete O'Brien has a lot of hitting room through the right side with Toby at first. Runners holding as Pete took it inside. O'Brien has 33 RBIs on the year to go with his 7 home runs and a batting mark. Good to see Pete up over 300 again. He's hitting .302. When the Rangers started the trip on Monday in Minnesota. Pete did not play in the ball game against the left-hander Frank Viola. And when he took the field on Tuesday, he was hitting .289. So he's brought his average up quite a bit on the road trip so far. Low and in, 2-0. Will we see something happen on this pitch? Pete should get something to handle. Toby is not a blazing runner, but he's a smart runner. Has a pretty good lead, and CODIROLI was thinking the same thing and threw over there. He has a pretty good pickoff move and is good at holding the runners on. Looked like the first baseman was trying to pull that move we've seen from some of the shortstops around the league on these stealing plays, trying to let the runner believe the ball had gotten away and stepping off the bag into a tag. But Toby had that one snuffed out. O'Brien hits it well to right field, but it's right at Mike Davis. So Pete was ripping on 2-0, and there are 2 out. Davis is a good outfielder.
And this is a tough field in the afternoon sun also. It's a very glary ballpark. All the concrete and short sleeve crowd, a lot of white shirts, and the glare off the seats also. It makes it very difficult sometimes for outfielders and infielders to pick the ball up coming off the bat.
And there are folks sitting in the upper deck from around first base to third base, so that makes it tough when the ball gets up in that area as well. Here's Pete Incaviglia. Pete had a tough day yesterday. He was 1 for 4 and he struck out some, but he had a big ball game here on Friday night, 2 for 3 with both RBIs in the 2-1 victory. A couple of one-run games here, and that's been nothing unusual for the Rangers lately. That throw does get away. It'll be an error on the pitcher, and Toby is in scoring position with 2 outs. The Oakland pitching staff has a joke here, Buzz. It's called the Chris CODIROLI School of Fielding. He has taken some rips from his teammates before about his fielding, mainly because his delivery leaves him falling off the mound, but this was just plainly a bad throw.
One of the things there, when you're going to make a little flip throw over to first base just to check out where the runner is, you cannot make the good quick move, and CODIROLI made the quick move with his feet, then tried to ease up on the throw, and that caused him to throw it in the dirt. That's like fielding a ball and shuffling your feet very quickly and then trying to ease up on it, guide the ball over there. Chances are you're not going to make an accurate throw.
Error number 52 on the Oakland defense this year. It gives Incaviglia a chance to give the Rangers a lead with a base hit. Breaking ball, first one missed. This one caught the outside corner. 1-1. Pete is hitting .277. He's had to deal with a lot of distractions this weekend with friends and family all over the ballpark and the hotel. Another breaking ball, 1-2. Steve Buechele has a lot of friends here from Stanford. Gino Petralli has some here from Sacramento, some family. 1-2 is the count with 2 outs. Incaviglia went the other way with it. First baseman on to the pitcher, and CODIROLI beats Pete to the bag. It'll go 3-1. Rangers get a hit. There was an error in the first, but they leave the runner. And when the A's come up for the first time, it'll be Phillips, Bhakti, and Lansford. Bobby Witt to the mound for the first time. He will face Tony Phillips and then Bruce Bhakti, the first baseman. Carney Lansford is the third baseman. Jose Canseco in left. Kingman is the DH, and Mike Davis is in right. Alfredo Griffin is the shortstop. Willard the catcher. Javier is the center fielder. And, of course, the A's come in with a batting mark of .251 facing Bobby Witt today.
And the Ranger defense looks like this. Left field is Gary Ward, O-ODDIBE McDowell in center, and Ruben Sierra in right. The infield consisting of Pete O'Brien at first, Toby Harrah at second, Scott Fletcher the shortstop, Steve Buechele at third, and behind the plate, Gino Petrali, who is handling 22-year-old right-hander Bobby Witt. Coming off his best performance of the year and possibly as a professional last week in Minnesota. Bobby worked 7 2/3, only allowed 5 hits, 2 runs. He walked 2, one of those intentionally, and had 12 strikeouts. That's a Ranger rookie record. No decision in the ball game as he left with a man on in the 8th inning.
And his first delivery is a strike to Tony Phillips, the A's leadoff man. They had an interesting battle during spring training between this guy and Donnie Hill, who is now a reserve on the bench. Tony beat him out. Both split second base duties here last year. Both were injured at various times of the year. 0-2 is the count. Phillips is having a good season. He's number 3 in the American League with 48 runs scored, so he's been getting on base. Well hit to left center. O-ODDIBE, though, is only about 10 or 12 steps away, and he's got it for the first out. So Bobby Witt gets that all-important first man. They were really buzzing about the way he was throwing not only his mid-90s fastball, but also his slider the other night in Minnesota. It was very wicked.
He had good command of both of them. That for Bobby Witt is a very impressive thing to, one night you go out and have good control of a fastball and maybe not the slider, and maybe the other way the next time out. But Bobby had good command of both of them, and when he does that, we have talked about the kind of ability he has, and certainly he puts it together, and it's tough.
Bobby's ahead of Bruce Bochy now, who's hitting .258. He's a switch hitter. Bochy is the Oakland first baseman. And he hits one to his counterpart. Pete O'Brien dropped it, but Bobby Witt is right there to help him out. 2 down. There's never a sure thing on the infield. That's why the pitcher goes over there on any ball hit to the right side. And here's the man that Bobby told me was the most important for him in the lineup. He just felt, obviously it's important to keep Tony Phillips off base, but he thought that Carney Lansford is a guy who can hurt you in so many ways, a contact hitter who can use the ballpark, and especially in a situation like this, Buzz, where he's hitting with 2 outs and the bases empty right in front of their big power hitters. Bobby really wanted to get Lansford out here today.
That's the big thing. You keep Lansford off base after you've gotten the first 2 people out, or even if Carney's leading off an inning or hitting second. You don't want CANSECO and Kingman to come up with people on if you can avoid it.
Jammed him and got it on the inside corner. 1-1. Lansford does have home run power. He has hit 6. Carney has 25 RBIs, a former American League batting champion when with Boston. Into the dirt, 2-1.
Bob, there was a time when you would say Bruce Bochy of all these people was probably the best hitter in the A's lineup. Not anymore with the age factor going against Bruce. I think you'd have to say that Carney Lansford is the best pure hitter in the A's lineup.
2-1. He chops one to the left side. Carney is working on a 5-game hitting streak. He's hit .316 over the last week. The Oakland Ball Club hitting .251. They've hit 3 less homers than the Rangers have, and have stolen 4 more bases. They've got a guy on this club, Alfredo Griffin, who's liable to run on you anytime, whether he's supposed to or not. We'll tell you more about that when he comes up a little later. Bobby delivers. Did he go around? No, says the first base umpire, Ted Hendry. Tom Leppard didn't know for sure, and half the Rangers had headed for the dugout.
That might have influenced Ted Hendry more than anything else. That's a swing to me as far as I'm concerned, but everybody was running off the field, and that sometimes will be taken as an insult by umpires, and they'll just reverse the call out of spite, if nothing else.
Fastball, missed it low and inside. Well, sometimes pitchers consider it an insult when the guy swings and it's not called. And that bat definitely crossed the plate. And it's now a man at first and 2 outs, and Lansford reaches so that we'll have a look at Big Jose, the cleanup man, the rookie, who's hitting .279 with a figure of 16 homers, number 2 in the league, and 57 RBIs, number 1 in the league. He and P. Cavilla are some pair to watch around the batting cage before the ball game. Bobby wanted to get ahead of him with the fastball. Missed with it. Bobby told me that he tried to work Canseco and Kingman down with breaking stuff, a lot of it off speed. And if he did throw a fastball, he'd like to get it up and where they can't really extend the arms and drive the ball. Maybe get it up in the strike zone or inside a little bit.
Both of them are very good low fastball hitters. They have slightly uppercutting type strokes, and if you get the fastball down and out over the plate, there's no telling what county it's going to land in.
And he's missed 3 straight times. This is the 3rd day game of the year that Bobby Witt has thrown. He threw one at home against Milwaukee, one at Milwaukee that we'll never forget, when he had a no-hitter going for 5 innings and had all the walks, the strikeouts, and the wild pitches. Canseco, green light on 3-0. Didn't like the pitch anyway. 2 straight walks in the inning, 2 on, 2 out.
You remember last time out, as Bobby Valentine is going to make a little visit to the mound here after a couple of walks. The Minnesota ball game, the only trouble control-wise that Bobby Witt experienced was in that first inning in the Minnesota ball game. Once he got through that unscathed, he really settled down and had command of all of his pitches. And the same thing, I would think, would be going through his mind right here. If I can get through this inning and get into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th innings, I'll be fine. And I'm sure Bobby Valentine went out to remind him of the same thing.
One of the reasons is a guy who's hit 421 major league home runs is standing at the plate. Dave Kingman says he'd like to hit around 30 this year, 35, and then stick around and maybe reach that 500 plateau. It would take him 3 years to do it, basically, at the production he's had the last couple of seasons. Bobby missing. Another pitch low. Kingman with a 199 average, but he has 43 RBI. So he and Canseco together have 100 ribbies. There's the pitch up, and Bobby whipped it right by him. Kingman's on an RBI binge with 7 in the last week. Hit a couple of home runs on their just completed road trip when they were 0-7. There's a hit. 1 run will score. Another man goes to 3rd, and with 2 walks and a base hit, the A's lead 1-0. Kingman's 44th RBI of the season.
You know, we mentioned the other night they had the shift on where everyone was pulled around to the left side of the infield, all 3 infielders on that side. And every once in a while, Dave Kingman will go out and drive the ball back up the middle. He had a fastball down and out away from him from Bobby Witt and did just that, hit it back through the middle for the RBI single.
And trouble is not out of Bobby Witt's realm yet. Good hitter Davis up there, 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. Strike on the outside corner. But Davis is slumping a bit. He's only 2 for his last 18 and 4 for his last 26. Missing outside. Upstairs, 2 balls and a strike. Saw an interesting stat on this guy last year, Buzz. He was leading the American League in home runs until May 25th. And then after he was moved up from the number 7 spot in the order, he really cooled off. He was relaxed hitting down in the lineup behind the power hitters. Three balls and a strike.
It's strange what individuals do as far as putting pressure on themselves when they change in the lineup. Like a pitcher, for example, that's moved from the starting rotation to a middle relief job. We'll find the pressure is all off of him. It's an individual thing, and some hitters are better 7th place hitters, 8th place hitters than they are numbers 3, 4, or 5.
3-2 count. At 3rd is Jose Canseco, who walked. Dave Kingman with the RBI base hit is at first. Alfredo Griffin's on deck, and here's the 3-2 to Davis as Kingman starts off first, and that is a fair ball. It's 2-0. It takes a carom. The ball is returned into the infield. No play at the plate. Oakland 3-0. Pete O'Brien was not happy about the call by the first base umpire, Ted Hendry. He was right there with the umpire.
Well, Ted Hendry certainly was right in a good position to make the call, but from our vantage point, which is slightly toward the third base side of home plate, I thought the ball was foul, and across the bag it did hit in fair territory before it got to the bag, but it was about a foot foul as it hit past first base, and it's very difficult to believe that a ball could hook that much going down the first baseline in that quick of a, or in that short of a distance behind the bag. But Ted Hendry said it's fair, and it's a 2-run double.
He was bailing out, running backwards, making that call, trying to get out of the way of the ball. Tough situation for an umpire. Here's Alfredo Griffin with a man at second and 2 outs, 3 runs in. He's aggressive up there, and he went after the first one. Boy, the walks really hurt. Bobby was headed for a harmless first inning with a fly ball and a grounder. 2 walks, a single, and a double. Swing and a miss, but remember one thing. The Rangers, in 8 of their last 12 wins, have come from behind to win. Jeff Russell is the early thrower in the Ranger bullpen. Charlie Huff will start tomorrow night at California, so Mickey Mailer is back down there in long relief as a left-hander. Runner going, and he stole that one on the pitcher. Great jump by Mike Davis, who steals his 6th base of the year, basically because nobody was watching him.
Bobby Witt very intent on making a good pitch to Alfredo Griffin. Completely forgot about Mike Davis. Normally you wouldn't, with a left-handed hitter, try to steal third base with 2 outs. But Mike Davis said, well, if they're going to give it to me, I'll take it.
Pop fly. Toby out to get it, battling the sun, but Scott calls him off it and takes it. And the inning is finally over. Oakland gets 3 runs on only 2 hits, and they leave a runner. The walks were big, and they both turned into Oakland runs. After 1, A's 3, Rangers nothing. It was a long first inning for Bobby Witt and the Rangers, and we move on to the second now here at sunshiny Oakland with Gary Ward, Ruben Sierra, and Gino Petralli to hit. Rangers trail 3-0. Situation they haven't been in much lately. And you'll think back on that first inning, Buzz, the walks, of course, and that check swing. And Bobby Witt told us right. He said, if I don't get Carney Lansford out, I may be in trouble, and that's what happened.
It's also possible that he might have thought a little too much about that check swing. The pitcher will get something in his mind where he say, gee, I should have been out of the inning if only. And you can if only yourself right into a 3-run inning. I'm not saying that that is what happened to Bobby, but the only person in the ballpark that knows is he. But that's what happened on the scoreboard, 3 runs.
Rangers had a hit off CODIROLI in the first inning. It came off the bat of Toby Harrah, a right-hander. And so here's Gary Ward leading off after taking a ball. Gary's hitting .278. Had a good rip and took it back over the screen. Gary had his 9-game hitting streak snapped yesterday, but he's still batting .333 over his last 10 games, and he's hitting 16 of his last 19. So he's had, well, a pretty hot 3 weeks at the plate. Like Kingman, who now has 8 RBIs in his last 7 and had 7 for 7 coming in, Gary has 7 RBIs in his last 7 games, and that's a pretty weak pop-up to the first baseman, first out. Got fisted. And we'll look at Ruben Sierra. Ruben has 2 of his 3 homers and 3 of his 6 RBIs from the left side. He's hitting .243 left-handed, .231 overall. I think the one dimension we really haven't seen from Ruben yet, we've seen it in the outfield, But we really haven't seen it on the bases yet, Buzz. Is his ability to run. I think he's a little tentative about that, and he really hasn't gotten on base as much as you need to really make things happen from a running standpoint from first to second or first to third.
That's what I would be interested to see right now, is how well he goes from first to third on that base hit. Not so much his ability to steal bases. I don't think he has had time to develop that to its fullest potential yet, but just his ability to let it go for the first to third circuit.
There's a good breaking ball, and it's 1-2. And that could be a big addition to that number 6 spot in the batting order, as Gary Ward ahead of him runs pretty well. Another off-speed breaking ball down low, and Rubin is strikeout victim number 2 of Chris CODIROLI, who looks most appreciative of that 3-run cushion he's been given very early in this one.
Very similar to the breaking ball that O-ODDIBE McDowell struck out on in the first at bat of the game. That breaking ball starting out outside and then breaking down and over the outside corner and down out of the strike zone.
And here's Gino. He's hitting .262 with 6 RBIs. Hit the ball hard 3 times yesterday. Second baseman Phillips takes care of him on the first pitch. Gino likes to go up there hacking. Doesn't like to take too many pitches, and thus CODIROLI has an easy 1-2-3 second. It'll be Willard, Javier, and back to Tony Phillips when the A's bat in the second, leading 3-0. Here in Oakland, it's 3-0 for the home team after just an inning and a half. Bob Carpenter along with Steve Busby. As we look out at the scoreboard, the Royals and Angels are scoreless in the second down the coast. Happy Father's Day to all of you dads tuned in. And as we look at the scoreboard as well, we see that Juan Nieves down in your lower left-hand corner has beaten Boston. All he did was take his slim frame into Fenway Park and beat the Red Sox 7-3. He's 6-2. Good young pitcher.
Yes, he is. That's a good young pitching staff up there, too. Teddy Higuera coming off a couple of fine outings. They have some good ability. I'm sure George Bamberger is happy with that team.
So that's what's happening in the AL. Not too happy about what's happening here so far. Jerry Willard, the catcher, to lead off. And he takes a Bobby Witt fastball up high.
I want to make sure that we pass along a special Father's Day greeting from Jeff Newman, one of the A's coaches, to his father, Tom Newman, who is in a hospital in the Dallas area. Jeff wanted to make sure that his best wishes for a very happy Father's Day were passed along. So, Tom Newman, happy Father's Day from not only Jeff, but all of us here, too.
Yes, sir. 1-1 is the count to Willard, who's hitting .194. Came over from the Cleveland organization. Rangers play him about as straight away as you could draw it up. May have broken his bat as he dunked one into center field. Bobby got one in on him, but Willard was strong enough to muscle it up the middle. Hit number 3 for the A's.
Looked like Bobby made a pretty good pitch. Was up, which is where you want to pitch Jerry Willard, but got it out over the plate far enough that Willard was able to get enough wood on the ball to dunk it into center field for the leadoff single.
Looked like it hit down around the trademark or so. Here's Stan Javier. A lot of things happening now with the number 9 man up there who can handle the bat some and bunt. Here's where a 167 hitter can help you out by moving that runner over. Top of the order is up next. Javier, of course, the son of former Major League infielder Julian Javier. 2-0. His father played in 3 World Series. Actually was injured in '64, and a guy who's now a general manager in St. Louis who played for the Oakland ball club here, Dal Maxville, was the guy who stepped in and took his place. I'm sure he's heard about that experience from his father of being in the Fall Classic 3 different times. Fastball up high, 3-0.
Remember, we talked the other night about how Bobby Witt had become more compact in his delivery, keeping that front shoulder in, the head from jerking toward first base. Today, the shoulder is flying out just slightly. And as a result, the wildness has been a problem for him early here. He just has not found that good groove yet that he and Tom House have worked so hard to attain.
Bobby Valentine making a very slow walk to the mound. Jeff Russell has just popped up in the bullpen. You saw him on the mound in the background. So a lot of things happening here. For the A's, the beneficiaries of most of it, they got 3 runs and only 2 hits in the first inning. And now have first and second on a base hit and a walk here in the second. Bobby, pretty much, I guess, a simple message. Whatever it is you're doing wrong, let's get it straightened out, because you won't be around long unless you start throwing some strikes.
I would think Bobby would go out with the kind of attitude saying, Bob Witt, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about how to throw the baseball, or are you thinking about what you want to do with the baseball? There's a big difference. If you have to think about how to do something, how physically to throw a baseball, or how physically to hit a baseball, you're not going to be nearly as successful and nearly as consistent if you can just concentrate on the execution part of it. The concentration has to be directed toward throwing a fastball here, a breaking ball there, or hitting a fastball or a curveball instead of how to do it.
And here he'll face Tony Phillips. Tony flied to center to open the ball game from the Oakland offensive standpoint. He's looking to bunt. It's down into the dirt, 1-0.
Good look at Bobby Witt's motion. Now watch that front shoulder. It has to drive down and toward the plate. It's coming straight across. You can see how quickly that front shoulder popped toward the first base side. It's almost as if he were pivoting instead of driving toward home plate.
Missing, 2-0.
And what happens when he does that is his arm never is able to catch up with the rest of his body. He throws with all arm, and the delivery or release point is different on virtually every pitch.
And if the arm is dragging behind the body, you'd figure the pitches to the left-handers would be outside like the first 2 were, and he'd be a little bit too far inside to some of the right-handers, which is where he missed against CANSECO and against Kingman. A lot of talent contained in that powerful body of Bobby Witt's. But he's in a lot of trouble here. It's 2-1. Phillips has been working on his bunting quite a bit this year. May have a play at third. No, Bobby never even looked that way and threw to first right across the runner to Toby Harrah. I thought Bobby might take a look at third, but if he had, he would have had to throw, because the runner would have beaten a throw to first had he double pumped. So it's second and third with 1 out.
This is where the catcher really has to make the call and let the pitcher know where he's going to throw the ball. Bobby Witt did something there. It's very dangerous. He started to shuffle his feet and almost lost his balance throwing to first base. As a pitcher, when you come over to field the ball, you really have to make sure you pick the ball up, shuffle your feet, get some momentum going toward first base when you make the throw. Otherwise, you're throwing all arm and you're taking a chance of injury there.
Rangers are going to go after Bhakti here. They don't want to walk him and extend the inning so that CANSECO would hit. They want to get this guy and then get Lansford. Try to avert any further trouble. Runners at second and third with only 1 out. Oakland already on top by 3. Bruce Bhakti has 19 RBIs. He had some years with the Seattle Mariners, including 1979 when he hit .316. Fouls it back this way, and it's 1-2. Bhakti broke in with the Angels back in '74. Was with them until '77 when he went to Cleveland, and then right from Cleveland to Seattle, where he played for 5 years. One and two. Big pitch for Bobby Witt here. He'd love the strikeout. Too tall with that one. 2-2. At third base is Jerry Willard, who singled. Stan Javier, who reached on the walk. They both moved up on the sacrifice bunt off the bat of Tony Phillips. 2-2. Got him. There's the strikeout. The ball was in the dirt. Bhakti to the dugout. And that's 2 down. First strikeout for Bobby Witt.
That's that good hard slider that Bobby Witt throws up there. And Bruce Bhakti, a very difficult man to strike out, could not check his swing in time. I guess he figured that Bobby Witt, already walking free, having some control problems, would not try to throw that breaking ball in a situation with a man on third, but he certainly did.
2 out. Here's Lansford. Popped up, out of play, right side. Did you see that ball come back and hit Bhakti after the strikeout? That's why they didn't have to throw to first, because I guess he was in fair territory when the ball hit him, Buzz?
No, the ball went into Gino Petralli's glove and popped out. Gino did a good job of blocking.
I thought he trapped the ball.
Well, and Bhakti was standing in the batter's box and inadvertently kicked it and then started walking back to the dugout. And as soon as Bhakti or any hitter walks back to the dugout, he is automatically out. You see the inadvertent kick there, and the ball rolled down the third baseline. But Bhakti began going back to the dugout, so he is automatically out. They don't have to make a throw on that play.
0-1 is the count. Lansford, who walked and scored in the first inning, and it is out of play. 0-2. Coney Lansford's hitting .284. Well, this would be a lift for Witt and his ball club to get out of this one. Interesting to see what he does here on 0-2. Got him. Breaking ball down. Lansford didn't get it. And Witt, after the visit by Bobby Valentine, comes up with a couple of strikeouts. The A's get a hit and a walk in the second. They leave 2. They have stranded 3. But after 2, the home team leads it 3-0. Nice day so far in Oakland for Chris CODIROLI and his A's. They lead it 3-0. They've out-hit the Rangers 3-1. Rangers have had only one base runner, Toby Harrah's single in the first. And as we go to the third, it'll be Buechele, Fletcher, and McDowell. Steve is having a few problems at the plate, sitting .243. For 2 yesterday. Hits this one to right center, but Mike Davis in plenty of time. Buechele kind of reaching for that ball a little bit and taking it into right center. He has the look, Buzz, of a hitter up at the plate who's just not comfortable. He's lunging for a lot of pitches.
He was really off balance on that swing. His backside was going one way, and he was trying to hit the ball the other, and there was just nothing left except hands and arms to hit with. You know, when you go into a slump, I think not only is it mental, but you start getting into bad physical habits, start jumping at the ball, and that's just one of the things where you have to go back in batting practice, start working back on the basics again.
Steve is 0 for 7 in the series, and here's Scott Fletcher, who's hitting .287. Scott was called out on strikes at a key point in the ball game in the 9th inning yesterday when the Rangers needed some kind of big hit to tie the ball game. CODIROLI throws one outside. It's a ball and a strike. Scotty with 12 RBIs. But nevertheless, despite his problems yesterday, a pretty good guy to have hitting in this part of the lineup, as we talked about. CODIROLI's nipping at that outside corner pretty well so far. 1-2. Scott can play, of course, defensively, several positions for you. Most of his action this year at short, some at second. He played third base yesterday. 2-2 is the count as he tries to get on ahead of O-ODDIBE McDowell, who is on deck. Way upstairs, way outside. 3-2. Rangers will hop on the plane right after this one and head down to Anaheim. The Royals will be on their way back up here. Here's the 3-2. Scott hits it high and far down the left side, but twisting well foul. Somebody with a glove down there reached right up and grabbed it. That's not fair. So Scotty had a good rip on 3-2. CODIROLI has given up 14 homers this year. That one is well hit into left center field. Nobody will get this one. It may be 2 or 3. Fletcher around second. Here comes the relay. They get it in quickly, so he will hold as Alfredo Griffin was turning around and waiting to gun him out at third. A's did a good job of getting that ball back in quickly because they weren't playing that deep.
Scott Fletcher getting that fastball on 3-2 down out over the plate. You're right, Bob. They were not playing him deep, and he plugged that gap perfectly between Canseco and Javier. And the A's did a very good job. Canseco hitting Griffin perfectly to hold Scott Fletcher to that double. And Scott had every intention of going for 3 if they mishandled the ball at all.
Canseco gloved that ball before it reached the wall. That might have made the difference. Here's O-ODDIBE with a man at second and 1 out. So the Rangers are showing some signs of offensive life here. O-ODDIBE struck out in the first. And this one goes to the right side where it'll easily be handled by Bruce Bochy. Runner on to third, 2 down. So O-ODDIBE, after striking out, went up there aggressively hacking at the first one. So now it'll take the 2-out hit from TOBY HARRAH, who singled in the first. Oakland 9 games back of the Rangers coming into this action today. They're 10 under 500. Rangers are 8 over. Breaking ball outside corner. It's interesting that CODIROLI has been so effective on the outside corner. The 2 hits he's given up have both been to left center field. So when he's come inside, he's had a problem or 2. TOBY got around late. 0-2.
And both of them, both the hits that he has given up have been the result of 3-1 or 3-2 pitches. He was behind TOBY HARRAH and he was behind Scott Fletcher.
They call the slider his out pitch. He throws the fastball in the high 80s. He's got TOBY 0-2. Breaking ball, and TOBY just got a piece of it as he topped it to the left side. Be a great time for HARRAH's 22nd RBI of the year. When you're down by 3, be nice to get a run early so you don't get into the 5th or 6th inning and then you're still down by 3. This really makes a big difference right here, being only the 3rd inning. TOBY thought it was too close to take, and so he struck the bat out and fouled it off. Warm in the sun today and cool in the shade. It's a breezy afternoon in Oakland. Delightful day for baseball to wrap up the 3-game set. Off speed. See you later. He pulled the string on him, and TOBY knew it. Not much he could do. Strikeout number 3 for CODIROLI, who has 1 in each of the first 3 innings. The double by Fletcher wasted. He's stranded. 2 runners have been left after 2.5. A's lead it 3-0. Well, the A's have some big heads here. They lead it by 3, so they're feeling pretty tough right now, aren't they? We'll pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Texas Rangers Baseball Network.
You're watching the Texas Rangers on KTVT Channel 11, Fort Worth, Dallas.
It is the bottom of the third with Jose Canseco, Dave Kingman, and Mike Davis to hit against Bobby Witt, who may have kept himself in the ball game by getting those last 2 strikeouts. Canseco walked and scored in the first, ahead of the RBI double by Mike Davis. 1-1. Jose coming in, hitting .279. We want to recognize one of our outstanding stations on the Ranger Network in a moment. We'll do that right now. 1-2. KBVO we'd like to recognize down in Austin on our Ranger Network. Steve Beard is the manager. We'd like to thank KBVO, Bevo, I guess, for bringing Ranger baseball to all the fine folks in Austin. Thanks for being with us. We hope you're enjoying today's game. 1-2. Bobby went down low with it. The count is even. Bobby Witt making his 13th start of the year. See you later. Breaking ball outside corner. And he has now struck out 3 in a row.
Bobby Witt really worked over Jose Canseco that time and threw a fastball by him, and for a power hitter like Canseco, that's a little bit humiliating. I think that sticks in your mind more than it would most hitters, but you can come back with that kind of a slider on the outside corner. See you next time around.
Jose has struck out a lot this year. Canseco has struck out 76 times now. Kingman jumping on the first one, skies it upstairs. King Kong has an RBI base hit. He has scored a run. Now has 44 RBIs on the season. Story earlier this year about Kingman maybe reaching 500 homers in his career, but a lot of folks don't think he'll be considered very much for the Hall of Fame because of a career batting mark around 240. That would be an interesting argument. One and one is the count with 1 out, bases empty in the third. Bobby tried to bust him inside. 2-1. Fastball sails way upstairs. 3 balls and a strike. Well, the stance has been a familiar one over the years in baseball. The bat sticking almost straight up. The feet pointing a little bit toward right center from Kingman. Arms extended, hands way out there, and he takes ball 4. Walk number 4 issued by Bobby Witt. Coming into the ball game, Bobby had struck out 58 and walked 61 in 62 2/3 innings. And that'll cause you a few problems. It's a stat that's been familiar for Bobby this year. He's given up almost as many runs as hits, which indicates he's putting people on base in a different fashion. 45 hits, add a couple for today, 3 of them. That's 48 hits now, and 44 runs given up this year. Mike Davis had the big blow back in the first, a 2-run double down the line. 1-1 as Bobby misses outside. Davis had a good year last year with 82 RBIs. He hit 24 homers. That was second on the Oakland RBI list. Bobby is throwing some strikes, but just not enough, and not too many early in the count. He's been working behind the hitters. That's been the difference between he and his Oakland counterpart, CODIROLI. I think Mr. Davis was looking for a certain pitch there. He got it, and he went after it and didn't get it.
He got it and didn't have the quick enough swing to do anything with it.
Two and two count with one out. Bobby just missing on the outside corner, ball 3. Alfredo Griffin, the shortstop, is the Oakland on-deck hitter. Have scored a couple. They're in the 4th inning now at California. Kansas City leading 2-0. On 3-2. Another good rip by Davis. If the Rangers had their druthers course, they would win here today and have the Royals beat the Angels, which would knock California back to 4.5 back. But if the Royals win and the Rangers lose, then both teams would be 3.5 back. Three-two once more. Kingman moving this time. Ball 4. And that one hit in the dirt and then bounced up and got Gino Petroli. He was putting his hand up around his collarbone. He must have gotten a nasty hop. And that's walk number 5 from Bobby Witt.
Danger a catcher runs there, Bob, as that ball will come up, especially in the breaking ball, and it's in the unprotected area around the throat. It came up off the heel of Gino Petroli's glove, and boy, you get hit in the Adam's apple like that with a pitch that bounces that hard as Bobby Witt throws. That is going to sting. Kingman off of the pitch. Let's see where that ball comes up and gets him. Off the glove. It looked like it came up under his chin and got him in the throat area someplace. That's why a lot of the catchers have gone to using that little flap that extends down from the chin part of the face mask to protect against incidents just like that.
Gino evidently is okay. He's been a busy man this week in the hitting and now the defensive departments. Orlando Mercado is fit to play if needed. He still has some puffiness on the outside of his left hand where he was hit by that pitch on Friday night. And Orlando came into the trainer's room today and said to Bill Ziegler, "What do you think? I'm ready to go." And Bill said, "Tape it up and get out there. You can play if needed." Bobby Witt whipping one right by Alfredo Griffin, who popped up to shortstop his first time. That ended the 3-run first inning. A nice double play ball here would help end the 3rd. The last 3 men Witt has retired have been on strikeouts. And Jackie Moore's probably thinking in the dugout, why are we swinging at pitches like that with a guy who can't throw strikes?
That's one reason the A's are 10 games under 500. You have people in the ball club that no matter what the manager tells them, they have to go up there and think for themselves. And you got a singles hitter up there trying to hit a 6-run home run off a guy who's been having trouble throwing strikes.
0-2.
That is not the way to win baseball games.
Breaking ball down low. On to second. HARRAH to Fletcher. The relay not in time, as they had to pull O'Brien off the bag a little bit. And the Rangers are appealing that the runner at second, Mike Davis, went way out of the baseline to take out Scott. But the umpire simply points down to the skid marks of where the runner was sliding and says it was close enough to the bag.
They're also appealing that Mike Davis might have thrown his arms up in an attempt to deflect the throw of Scott Fletcher, which also would be interference and an automatic double play. You can't go down there and intentionally interfere with the fielder's ability to throw the ball. You can try and take his legs out from underneath him, but you saw where Mike Davis's arms were thrown up in the air trying to hit the arm of Scott Fletcher. That is a no-no.
Boy, there was very nearly contact there. Really don't know from the replay how Scott got the throw away. Jerry Willard, the hitter now, with runners at the corners and 2 outs. Bobby Witt pours the outside corner with a fastball. Look at that right arm and Scott's right arm.
It looks as though Davis is going up. He did hit him. There was contact. I am surprised that the second base umpire, Jim Evans, right on top of the play, he did not call that interference.
And it's also amazing that with that contact that Scott's throw was as close to the first base bag as it was. Pete only had to come off a step to get it. Well, a couple of close calls have not gone the Rangers' way today. The first one hurt badly. We'll see if the second one does. Runner going off first. Petralli with the throw. Fletcher was coming over late, and the runner held at third. Second and third, 2-1 the count now with 2 outs. You know Alfredo Griffin is going to run whenever he gets the chance.
May have been a mix-up in assignments here that as far as what play the Rangers had on with runners at first and third and 2 outs. It looked as though Scott thought that there was going to be a fake to second base and just check the runner back at third because he took that throw way behind the second base bag.
Alfredo Griffin's 11th stolen base of the year. Popped out of play off to the left side. Have you ever heard of a runner scoring from second on a bases loaded walk? Alfredo Griffin did it.
I have, no.
He did it earlier this year. And he was just about ready to drive Bob Didier crazy coaching at third base. Alfredo is a guy who is not afraid to make some things happen. A few days earlier, he got to second base after striking out on a wild pitch from Mike Witt of California. Missing outside, 3-2. And the on-deck hitter with 2 outs is the Oakland center fielder, Stan Javier. Runners at second and third. Third walk in the inning. Bob Didier talking to his left-handed hitter. Javier walked his first time up. So you've got Bobby Witt with the bases loaded and 2 outs, down by 3 runs already against a 167 hitter. High and tight. That's 2 up. Here's where the leadership of Pete O'Brien comes in, as he does just that from first base. A little chest slap. That slap symbolic of come on, big guy, and wake up at the same time a little bit. That's a mark of the Ranger Club, the chest slap. That's ball 3. You can't walk the number 9 hitter who's hitting 167, can you? With the bases loaded.
Well, he walked him the first time around.
With Tony Phillips on deck, Bobby Witt was facing a situation where he could have been throwing his last pitch of the ball game. He got it in for a strike. Now he'll get to throw another. And it, too, is down the middle. Runners all moving. Out of play. A gapper will make it 6-0. Bobby doesn't care where it goes as long as it finds its way into somebody's glove, catcher or a fielder. Trying to get out of this one. Stranded a runner in the first and 2 in the second, and now walking in a run in the third, and it's 4-0. 4th walk of the inning, 7th in the game, and Bobby Valentine is headed for the hill. Seven walks in 2 2/3. RBI number 5 of the year for Javier.
Well, a situation today for Bobby Witt where he has just not been able to be consistent and go for a stretch of, well, he went for a stretch of striking out 3 consecutive batters and then turns right around and walks 4 of the next 5 hitters. So it's one of those days that the young man is going to have from time to time. Bobby's going to stick with him and give him another shot to get himself back together. As much a confidence-building situation as anything you'll see. I'm a little surprised in this situation that he has left him in there, but this is a growing process. We've talked about the learning process. Jeff Russell in the bullpen certainly is ready. He's ready and waiting, but yeah, you've got to get to a point where you say, look, you've got one more opportunity, or this is your opportunity to show me something. And I think that's what Bobby Valentine said to Bobby Witt. Just go out there and do it.
Well, it's easy to talk about having confidence in young players, and it's another thing to do it. And Bobby just shows us right there a strong example of how he's willing to go with the young players. Tony Phillips, the hitter, who's 0 for 1 with a sacrifice. A guy who could break the game wide open here. Right now, it's still within sight at 4-0. So it's Bobby Witt's job to do right here. It is low. At third base is Alfredo Griffin. Jerry Willard, who walked at second. Stan Javier, who walked at first. 3 of the 4 runs are people who walked. Fair ball. 2 runs have scored. They're going to send a third. Here's the relay. O'Brien, they should get him. Gino held on to the ball. There's an argument. Alfredo Griffin thinks that Gino may have dropped the ball. They want to appeal it to the first base umpire, Ted Hendry, who was looking right at the play. 2-run scorer on the double. It'll go 9-3-2 on the putout. And now we're going to have a powwow. Did Gino drop the ball? He did not. The runner is out. We'll be back in a moment. It's Oakland, 6-0 anyway. Well, the exciting play that wrapped up the 3rd inning. 2 runs already in, and here's Pete O'Brien's relay to Gino Petralli.
In there in plenty of time. It's just a matter of whether Gino was able to hang on to the ball. A very hard slide by Javier. And you can see in that replay, a good shot there from our guys, that the ball definitely never left the possession of Gino Petralli. He had full control of that the entire time.
Well, Alfredo was screened out of the play, so I don't see how he could have made the call. I think he saw the players jockeying around there, and he thought maybe Petralli was reaching for the ball, but it was obvious to us that it never left his glove.
Yeah, I think when he saw Gino kind of fall over on top of Javier, he figured the ball must have come loose.
And then, of course, the manager took his cue from his other player, and then the argument there, but the smoke clears, and the A's have a 6-run lead. Pete O'Brien, the hitter. It'll be O'Brien, Incaviglia, and Ward. Rangers need a couple of base runners and then somebody to pop one. Oakland had 3 runs in that inning on only 1 hit. 4 walks in the inning. Pete lined out hard to right his first time. CODIROLI misses inside, a ball and a strike. Pete's been batting about .440 over his last 4 ball games. To break that 0 for 16 slump he was in, and this one is sliced into right center field. He reached down and just muscled that ball right out there and got a good part of the bat on it.
Looked like he was punching a little 6-iron out there. Reached down and kind of one-handed it out into right center field. Breaking ball from CODIROLI. A pretty good pitch. He just went out and got it. What he called dropping the head of the bat on the ball. And he did that for the leadoff single.
All right, got the leadoff man on for the first time in the ball game. Pete Incaviglia has not had a home run on the road trip, and this would be an excellent time for numero uno. Pete has hit 11 this year with 34 RBIs. CODIROLI has been susceptible to the gopher ball this year. He has given up 14. This is his 14th start. Pete took it for a strike. Incaviglia out. First baseman to pitcher to end the first inning with Toby HARRAH at second base. By the way, you may remember the conversation we were having earlier in the week about Pete switching bats to get away from his knuckle problem, but evidently he has decided not to switch bats and stay with what he was using before. He was swinging a big bat by Larry Parrish around in Minnesota the other night. Can't argue with the results he had here on Friday with a couple of hits, a couple of RBIs. It's low, 2-1.
Bill Ziegler came up with that. You know, it's almost like a wrap for his middle finger, a rubber wrap that they put on. It's kind of like a sleeve they put all the way down his finger, and it seems to cushion the knuckle enough that he can have his normal grip on the bat and still not re-injure that hand.
Tony Oliva in Minnesota called it a donut, said he used a version of that during his career for a similar problem. Ball 3.
It wasn't Tony, I think Bill Ziegler was talking about. I think Tony Oliva broke his finger doing that, checking his swing, and actually broke that knuckle on the middle finger. That's a pretty strong swing to be able to do that. Gee.
Pretty strong hitter. 3-1. CODIROLI does not want to walk anybody with such a big lead. Pete should get something to hit here. Does. Little one into right center field, and a good play by Tony Phillips. One of the reasons Tony Phillips won the second base job over Donnie Hill in the spring was his outstanding speed.
Oh, and this is a great play, too. He's going out, and he also has a difficult time with the sun on this play. He's looking right back up into it. And Budweiser would like to congratulate Tony Phillips on his fine play on that ball hit by Pete Incaviglia. Tony, for all you do, this Bud's for you, and you certainly deserve it on that. I'm sure that Chris CODIROLI would agree.
Instead of 2 on, none out, it's now a runner at first and 1 down for Gary Warren. I tell you, you've got that guy at second base and Mike Davis behind him in right field. You're not going to get too many cheap hits to the right side of the Oakland defense. Outside corner, a ball and a strike. Gary Ward fouled out weakly to the first baseman his first time up in the second. Gary's average has been pretty consistent, 270, 280 range. He's really biting the corner with that slider. We talked earlier about how tough he is with that pitch, and when he's nipping that outside corner, that ball is moving away from those right-handers, and it's even further away by the time it's into the glove of Willard.
Makes it very difficult for a right-handed hitter to go up and try to pull the ball off CODIROLI.
Now a high inside target. He goes low with the fastball. 2-2. Gary hitting .277. Left side. Oh, it finds its way through beyond the glove of Lansford. So that time the bleeder does get through, and it's first and second, 1 out.
Boy, and that play by Tony Phillips now looms even larger, because the Rangers will be looking at the possibility of having 2 on, a runner across already. But because of Phillips' play, this 1-out single just puts runners at first and second. You start chipping away, as you mentioned earlier, Bob, about how early it is in the ballgame. You start chipping away with a run or 2 and get something going quickly. All of a sudden, the game turns around.
Here's Ruben. Some of the left-handers have to start doing the job here. O'Brien did with a base hit to lead off this inning. Pete is at second as the ball is in the dirt to Sierra. Ruben struck out his first time. Be nice to see him add to that RBI total. He has 6 and 3 homers to go along with it. At the knees, a ball and a strike. They're now in the 6th at Anaheim. Royals 3, Angels nothing. We got some other finals around the American League we'll pass along to you. Gave him the bender that time, broke it in on him, and Ruben didn't get it. 1 and 2. Got to make contact here with men on base. Breaking ball, pitcher's got it, goes to second for 1. And Ruben beat it out at first only because CODIROLI's throw pulled the fielder off the second base bag. It'll be first and third, 2 outs.
Ground ball, a good job by CODIROLI, but of snaring the ball, and then the throw on the third base side of second base. That just enough to slow Griffin up, make him off balance so that he could not make a strong, accurate throw to first base. And of course, Ruben runs very well.
So the inning is still alive. Gino Petralli grounded to second his first time. Gino likes to go up there swinging. Told me before the game he's feeling real comfortable at the plate. He's seeing the ball very well. And he told me the reason he's been hitting better this week is because he's been a little more patient and more selective. Now, selective doesn't mean you can't swing on the first pitch. He has obviously today seen 2 pitches on the first offering that he's liked, and he's ripped away on both of them. It's a delicate balance up there, Buzz. Feeling good, feeling comfortable, just like a pitcher with a little mechanical thing. One little thing goes wrong and a hitter's timing can be completely off.
Very fine line. And patience, too, is the ability to discipline yourself to wait until you get what you're looking for. That may come on the first pitch. It may come on the 5th pitch.
That was a pretty good third pitch. Outside corner at the letters, 1 and 2. Gino Petralli from Sacramento still lives up the road. Not too far from here. 1 and 2, 2 on, 2 out. Rangers need to get on the scoreboard here in the 4th. Just got a piece of it. That was the breaking ball. Gino's hitting .256. Has all of his RBIs from the left side. He's a switch hitter. Right side, second baseman Tony Phillips, and the inning is over. Petralli has grounded to him twice. Rangers had 2 hits in the inning, and strand 2. They've left 4 after 3.5. Bobby Witt back to the hill, trailing 6-0. Thursday, June 19th, is Minyard's Decker Foods Night at Arlington Stadium, when the Rangers host the A's at 7:35. Complimentary tickets available at your nearby Minyard's food stores Thursday, June 19th. Minyard's and Decker Foods teaming up at Arlington Stadium. Complimentary tickets. The price is right. Bobby Witt still alive in this one after giving up 6 runs. Got out of the 3rd inning only because Sierra, O'Brien, and Petralli teamed up to throw a runner out at the plate, trying to make it a 3-run double. That one is fouled down the right side off the bat of Bruce Bhakti. Bhakti is one of only 2 players in the A's lineup that has not been retired twice, or that has been retired twice. He has grounded to first and struck out. The only other is Griffin, who's popped up and reached on a fielder's choice. 1-1 in the 4th. Whipped it right by him. 1-2. Well, Bobby Witt now just like to get settled down, work through the next 3 or 4 innings, and hope to stick around long enough for his teammates to get things going offensively. Each team has 4 hits, but the runs are vastly different. You don't often see teams even in hits and 6 runs apart. Rangers have stranded 4 runners in their 4 innings at the plate. Oakland has plated 6 and stranded 4 of their own. There's another hit. On a 1-2 pitch, he takes it down the right field line. Sierra had him played to pull, and Bhakti leads off the 4th with a base hit.
The first pitch that Bruce Bhakti swung at, it was a fastball that he pulled down the right field line foul. That may have set Bobby Witt up, because he came back with a slider thinking that Bhakti would be out in front of it, and Bhakti waited just a hair longer to pull that into right field for the single.
And the hitter is Lansford, who has walked and struck out. The bullpen is busy once more with Jeff Russell playing the jack-in-the-box down there, up and down several times. Base hit, right center. O-ODDIBE over to get it. Runner goes to 3rd. And O-ODDIBE threw to the wrong base. Base hit, 2nd on the throw.
Inside-out stroke of Carney Lansford dropped it into center field. And O-ODDIBE had the right idea, except he threw it over the head of cutoff man Scott Fletcher. That allowed Lansford to go into second base, a heads-up play by Lansford. He saw that ball was not going to be cut off by Fletcher. He just kept right on motoring.
That's the key thing, because the runner coming around first can see how high that throw is, and he can tell if the cutoff man's going to be able to reach it. O-ODDIBE launches one here, and you see Scott couldn't reach it. Buechele had to come up to grab it on the fly. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out for Jose Canseco. He has walked and struck out. Well, it happened pretty quickly in this inning. Didn't take long to develop. Couple of hits. Two and 0. I think if Bobby walks this guy, we'll see Russell, because Mr. Valentine will not give the opportunity to walk another runner in. Bobby Witt has walked 7 hitters in this game. Got the inside corner with that one. 2-1. Power against power. Strike 2. That's It's two of those interesting moments we've had during this game. Fastball against the big hitter.
Well, a swing like that from Jose Canseco, it takes all the air out of the ballpark.
Breaking ball. Sierra coming in. He's got it. And the runners will hold as he returns it to Scott Fletcher. One down.
Designated hitter, Dave Kingman.
Dave Kingman has scored 2 runs today. He's 1 for 1 with a base hit and a walk. Also drove in the game's first run, his 44th RBI back in the first. Told you earlier about Davis being number 2 on this team with 82 RBIs. Kingman was the lead man with 91. And he's well on the pace for 100 this year. Went reaching. It's 1-1. Dave Kingman has driven in 1,160 runs in his major league career. His top was 118 here in '84. Drove at 115 for the Cubs in '79. And Gino Petralli had to go get that one. 2 balls and a strike. A lot of watching being done by the Rangers. The fielders, Robbie Valentine and Tom House in the dugout. Jeff Russell down the bullpen. This one hard hit. Left side, and Gary Ward made a fine play. The runners will move up on the sacrifice fly, but Gary probably prevented a 2-run double with a fine leaping play on the warning track.
I think that's about as hard as a baseball can possibly be hit. They had a little overspin on it, which is about the only thing that kept in the ballpark, but that's a 355-foot line drive to left field that was sinking.
Boy, he did smoke it. Runner at third. It's 7-0. Right side second baseman Toby Harrah. Inning is over, but the A's strike again. They've scored in 3 of the 4 innings here. A run on 2 hits. After 4, Oakland 7, Texas nothing. Gorgeous day in the Bay Area. It's been pretty for the hometown A's so far. They have 7 runs through the first 4 innings. They've out-hit the Rangers 6-4, and it's our Goodies home run jackpot inning. $800 today, and here's Steve.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, it certainly is Goodies home run jackpot on this Father's Day Sunday. A 7-0 A's lead. As we go to the top of the 5th, it'll be Buechele, Fletcher, and McDowell. And in our Goodies home run jackpot, Steve Buechele will be hitting for Donnie Merchant of Fort Worth. Well, a chance here to win $800, and the Rangers certainly would like to have Steve Buechele and Scott Fletcher and O-ODDIBE McDowell and the rest of them win some money for you and get the Rangers back in this ball game. Tell you in a second how to enter the Goodies home run jackpot if you haven't yet. I'm going to make sure and get in on this. Every day that a home run is not hit goes up another $100. Buechele slapping it foul and out of play. Strike 1. Steve this afternoon fly to right field his first time up, so he is 0 for 1986 against the Oakland A's pitching staff. He's 0 for 7. Buechele currently hitting at 242. 0-1 pitch from CODIROLI. 1-1. If you would like to enter the Goodies Home Run Jackpot, send your name, address, and phone number on a 3x5 card to Goodies Home Run Jackpot, Post Office Box 2495, Fort Worth, Texas, 76113. And Lansford throws out Buechele, so Donnie Merchant of Fort Worth comes up empty this time, but hang in there, Donnie. We'll get you one of these times, hopefully. One gone here in the 5th inning, and that will bring up Scott Fletcher. And Scott Fletcher will be hitting for Doug Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, of Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Doug Wright, Scott Fletcher is your man. Scott has one of the 4 Ranger hits this afternoon. That was a 1-out double back in the 3rd. A bunt and fouls it back, strike 1. Doug Wright of Tahlequah in Oklahoma, hoping for Scott Fletcher to win him $800 with a round tripper here. CODIROLI through the first 4 1/3 now has given up the 4 hits, no runs. He has not walked a hitter, and he has struck out 3. Fly ball right field. Mike Davis fighting the glare just a bit, puts it away, 2 gone. And back to the top of the order for O-ODDIBE McDowell. And O-ODDIBE in our Goodies Home Run Jackpot will be hitting for Sue Harris of Arlington. Sue Harris will be pulling for O-ODDIBE. Sure she always does, but this chance to make her a little cash on the side of O-ODDIBE knocks one out of here. And O-ODDIBE fouls one back our way, 3rd base side, strike 1. O-ODDIBE this afternoon, a strikeout and a ground out. Infield and outfield play. McDowell just about straight away. A ball and a strike to McDowell. O-ODDIBE currently hitting at 263. He has those 9 home runs, 23 RBIs for the Rangers leadoff man. Hit hard, a long way to left field. CANSECO going back. He has room and makes the catch right on the edge of the warning track. Close, but we're sorry it doesn't count. For the Rangers, a 1-2-3 inning will go to the bottom of the 5th. Oakland 7, Texas nothing. Now a new pitcher has come on now for Bobby Valentine. Jeff Russell, big right-hander, on to pitch in relief of Bobby Witt. Also been a change defensively. In left field, it will now be George Wright in place of Gary Ward. So Wright in left field and Jeff Russell on the mound. Russell 1-0 mark, a 4.50 ERA. This is 2nd game since being recalled from Oklahoma City. 2 innings of work. He has walked 1, struck out 1, given up a couple of base hits. So Jeff Russell will be facing the bottom 3rd of the A's batting order. Griffin, Willard, and Javier. Russell, his only appearance right after he was called up from Oklahoma City in Minnesota on Tuesday night. He worked those 2 innings, allowed a run and a hit. That was that 14-10 ball game. Lasted forever.
But with the right result.
That's right. That is right. Griffin this afternoon 0 for 2. He has popped out and been on by a fielder's choice. Slaps this left side. Nice backhand by Fletcher, and the long bounce gets by O'Brien. That will allow Griffin to go to at least 2nd base as Petrale backs it up. That's a long way from first base to the stands over there. Gino did a good job of backing that play up to hold Griffin at 2nd base.
Outside pitch, taking it to the hole. Scott didn't get a whole lot on the throw height-wise. It looked like Pete had a chance because it was a long hop, but he had his glove up too high and it went under his glove. I'm sure they'll give an error on the throw, but it looked like initially Pete had a beat on the ball.
They have scored an error all the way, so a 2-base error on Scott Fletcher. That's a difficult kind of throw for a first baseman to handle, even though it was a long bounce. It skipped off that grass and came up. The grass grabbed it and had the ball coming up higher than O'Brien thought. If it skips off the dirt, you're used to handling throws like that. But when it comes off the grass, no telling what it'll do. So Griffin on second base via the error. And now Jerry Willard, who is perfect this afternoon, 1 out of 1. He is singled and walked. He's also scored a run. Russell misses outside. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Jeff Russell, a 24-year-old. He stands 6'3", weighs 210 pounds. He was born and raised and still lives in Cincinnati, Ohio. He came over to the Ranger organization last year as part of the Buddy Bell deal. Worked at Denver and Oklahoma City. Also saw action in 13 ball games, all starts for the Rangers in 1985. A 1-1 pitch to Willard is inside, 2-1. Score from down the coast. It is now 6-2 in the 7th inning in favor of Kansas City over California. So this ball game goes along as it has so far. The Rangers certainly hope it doesn't, but at least things down south are going the way the Rangers would prefer them. Got him on the fist. A little pop-up foul territory. Third base side will be into the A's dugout. That'll be 2-2 to Willard. Other scores in the American League. There you see the California-Kansas City score, the 7th. Baltimore finally beating the Yankees 4-3. Hard-fought series there. Toronto coming back from a deficit again against Detroit, 9-6 winner. And Milwaukee over Boston. Chicago has that 3-zip lead over Seattle, and Minnesota down in Cleveland. Russell's 2-2 pitch. Chop foul, still 2-2. Gino Petrale pressed into service on an everyday basis. Now it's a situation that Gino likes. He likes the playing time, but boy, he had to worry when that pitch came up, the bouncing breaking ball, and got him in the throat. Bobby Wood was throwing. If he goes down, Orlando Mercado is well enough to play if necessary, but they would prefer to let him rest that injured hand for a couple of more days. Chopper to the right side. Pete O'Brien will take it himself, and Alfredo Griffin on the play moves to third base.
Darrell Porter, as we said earlier, on the disabled list now with problems of his own, and we understand that Bobby Jones will be back with the club tomorrow in Anaheim.
Joining the club tomorrow. He's playing a doubleheader today with the Oklahoma City 89ers. He will join the club in Anaheim. Oh, you would have to wonder. I saw George Wright yesterday working out, doing a little catching. I guess he is their reserve catcher should things go as badly as possible, to where either Petrale or Mercado could catch. Stan Javier takes a strike. It's 0-1. Javier, a couple of walks, and RBI on his last walk as he was given the pass with the bases loaded. 7-0 A's. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Griffin, the runner at third base with 1 out. And a snap throw to third by Petrale, but Griffin the headlong dive. Javier, a switch hitter, is a 207 hitter from the left side, hitting at 167 overall. Slaps this one left center field. That's going to be in there, and it's going to roll all the way to the wall. Griffin scores easily. Javier not stopping at second. He's going for 3. The relay throw by Fletcher, and they've got him. So Stan Javier out on a good relay throw. Scott Fletcher on to Steve Buechele, but he still gets his 2nd RBI of the day and his 6th of the year.
He's been on base 3 times. This is his 2nd RBI. O-ODDIBE chasing it. Times it nicely off the walls. The run scores. Scott made a quick turn here and a quick throw right on, and Buechele just put the glove down in front of the bag, and Javier trying to stretch it to a triple out of there. But you've got a 167 hitter batting ninth who's been on base 3 times and has driven in 2 runs. He's been a big part of the Oakland offense today.
A lot of folks have been on in front of him. Back to the top of the order, and very quickly, Tony Phillips bounds one back to Jeff Russell, who throws him out. So the side retired, but because of the error to the leadoff man Griffin, the A's come up with a run on 1 hit. There was 1 error, nobody left. After 5 complete, the A's 8 and the Rangers nothing. Guests appearing on Texas Rangers Network receive a Seiko watch from Gordon's Jewelers, featuring Seiko's winning combination of course accuracy and unique styling. Man invented time and Seiko perfected it. Gordon's Jewelers, where love is in the air. Not too much love lost here between these 2 ball clubs, but the A's are taking it out this afternoon on the Rangers thus far. As we go to the 6th inning, it is 8-0 in favor of Oakland. Chris CODIROLI in the 6th inning will face HARRAH, O'Brien, and Incaviglia. And talking about perfection, here's the guy himself, Bob Carpenter.
Wait a minute. I'll tell you what's been close to perfection is the performance of this Oakland pitching staff throughout this weekend. Even on Friday night in a losing effort, they got a good ball game out of Kurt Young, who only gave up 1 earned run over 7 1/3, and got a good performance from Plunk and company yesterday, and they are looking tough.
Well, you have to wonder, the report of an ERA of over 9 for the starters coming in here, how bad that scouting report was.
And this may be the first man retired in the 6th inning, and Toby is out courtesy of the first baseman. Let's pause 5 seconds for our station identification. This is the Texas Rangers Baseball Network.
You're watching the Texas Rangers on KTVT Channel 11, Fort Worth, Dallas.
Well, not a good start there. Maybe O'Brien can get something going. The Rangers need 8. They're in the 7th at Anaheim. As Steve told you a few minutes ago, Royals leading 6-2. The Angels have gotten on the board. The only other ball game in progress in this league is Chicago winning at Seattle 3-0 in the 5th. In there for a strike. The Giants, the other team that's making some waves out here in the Bay Area, winning at Houston 7-2 in the 9th at the Dome. So they would split that series if the Giants won. They've played 4. Looks like the Bay Area is doing it to the Lone Star State today. 1-2 the count to Pete O'Brien, who's 1 for 2. He's hit the ball hard twice. Pete will be followed by Pete Incaviglia here in the 6th. Rangers have been stopped on 4 hits so far by CODIROLI. O'Brien hits it hard again. Pete looks like he's getting into one of those grooves. He's pulled the ball 3 times and hit it hard every time up. Now the Rangers have to get some help from behind him. And it wouldn't be a bad place to start with the cleanup hitter, Pete Incaviglia, who is 0 for 2. It's funny how Pete O'Brien has gone hot and cold the last couple of weeks. He started the season so well, went into a slump, got rid of that one, and then got hit with another 0 for 16, and now he's broken out of it. Hitting about 480 now over the last 5 ball games. Pete has grounded to first and popped to short right, robbed on a good play by Tony Phillips back in the 4th. And you might remember that was before the A's scored another run in the 4th and another one in the 5th. So it was, well, 6-0 at the time. But the Rangers had a rally building because Gary Ward followed with a base hit. But Phillips' fine play kept Texas off the board. It is low, 2-1. Pete is hitting .275. Coming into this ball game, he was in the top 10 in the league in slugging percentage, and he had hit safely in 7 of his last 9 ball games. A .350 clip with 8 RBIs. And that's ball 3. And we have a pitcher up for the first time in the Oakland bullpen. The veteran right-hander, Doug Bear, is throwing. Here's the 3-1 to Incaviglia. Last time up, he was retired on a 3-1 pitch. This time he got a high fastball, and Pete thought he should have done more with that pitch than followed back. He'd love to have another look at that one.
Pete very disgusted with himself right now. He had a pitch up and out over the plate, and he had a big cut at it and just did foul it back. That's the one that he'd like to be able to drive into the left field seats and felt he should have.
3-2 is the count. O'Brien at first with 1 out. It is chopped to the left side. Lansford comes over, has to take a couple of steps, and Incaviglia got down the line in pretty good fashion, but not quick enough. Runner at second, 2 outs. Interesting statistic on Pete Incaviglia, or a note you might say, in the Rangers game notes today. A guy of his size, not known as a great runner, Pete has not grounded into a double play this year.
That really says something about his ability to hit with men on base and his speed, too. He has been able to put the ball in play with men on base with the RBI total that he has of 34, and yet he has stayed away from the double play. You look at other power hitters. Well, Jim Rice is a good example. 35 double plays that he grounded into just last year.
George Wright is batting for the first time today. He's hitting .221 with 2 homers and 7 RBIs. Defensively in the 5th inning, he replaced Gary Ward in left field. George hits this one out of play down the left side.
Hey, one more thing about the Pete Incaviglia stat about not having grounded into a double play. As hard as he hits the ball, too, you would think that there would have had to have been one chance where he hit a one-hopper at somebody. But it has not happened.
From the left side, George is hitting .253. It's where he has both of his homers from and 6 of his 7 RBIs. He has 20 hits left-handed and 3 from the right side. George had a couple of hits and 3 runs scored earlier this week in that 14-10 game at Minnesota. Played a lot of center field in that series with O-ODDIBE hurt. Fastball high and away, 2-1. The Oakland A's, a team beset by pitching problems on their road trip, starting 7 different pitchers and losing 7 games. But they've gotten good starting assignments throughout this weekend. George inside outs that one down the left side. CANSECO couldn't reach it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. National League winners today. The Giants, as we said, were leading at Houston. Now they've won it 7-2. So it's San Francisco 2 back of the Astros in the NL West. The Reds beat the Braves 9-7. Cubbies in extra innings beat the Cardinals 4-3, and Montreal shut out the Phillies 2-0. The other games are still in progress. Wright throws the bat and strikes out. For CODIROLI, it is his 4th strikeout and his first since the 3rd inning. Rangers get a hit, leave 1. They've stranded 5 after 5 1/2. 8-0 Oakland. Well, maybe there's some hits and runs up in those trees somewhere, but we'll have to wait till the 7th inning to find out, as the Rangers are down 8-0. We have We have some defensive changes for the Rangers as Curtis Wilkerson is the new second baseman here in the Oakland 6 with Bruce Bhakti leading off. He's 1 for 3. And Tom Paciorek is the first baseman. So some folks getting a chance to play here in the middle innings of a blowout right now. Buechele on to Paciorek, who on his first play has to scoop it backhanded. Nicely done.
Very good play on both ends of that, as Steve Buechele was able to come in and run a little circle route behind that ball and get some momentum going toward first base. Check swing, and Buechele did a good job. Off balance throw and a nice play by Tom Paciorek. That's a way to break into a ball game, Tom. Boy, just a nice little easy backhand and a short hop.
Yeah, you want to touch that ball right away, don't you?
Sure.
Corny Lansford, 1 for 2 with a walk. He has scored a run against the right-hander Jeff Russell in his second inning of work. Jeff touched for an unearned run in the 5th after an error by the shortstop. High and tight with a fastball. It's 2-1. Lansford had a good rip. 2-2. The other National League games that are still in progress. The Mets at home leading Pittsburgh 2-0 in the 4th. And down the coast, the Dodgers are at San Diego leading 3-0. That one is in the 7th. Right center, O-ODDIBE on his horse. Plenty of room to go get it. 2 up, 2 down. Jeff Russell threw over 140 pitches in a ball game at Buffalo last week for the Oklahoma City club before getting the call to join the Rangers in Minnesota. And then on Tuesday night, he had to work a couple of innings. Told me he was feeling pretty tired at that point, but I bet by today, 5 days later, he was really wanting some work. Getting plenty here this afternoon, coming on in just the 5th inning. CANSECO is 0 for 2. He has walked and scored a run. This guy is an outstanding hitter, Buzz, but there has been some talk that there are ways of getting him out certain pitches.
As most power hitters are, there are a couple of holes that he has, but you have to have good ability to get the ball there consistently. The fastball up and in certainly is a problem for him. He has trouble disciplining himself on the breaking ball when he gets behind in the count, but I don't know too many power hitters that aren't like that.
4 straight bad ones. Russell obviously respected him, and that is the first walk issued by Jeff, and overall the 8th walk issued by Ranger pitching here this afternoon. And it'll give Kingman a chance. Kingman has 2 RBIs today. He now has 45 on the year. A hard hit base hit in the 1st. Then he scored. He walked and scored 2 innings later and hit a frozen rope to the left field wall in the 4th inning that Gary Ward went back on and made an outstanding play, but it did go down as a sac fly. A big cut, and Russell ran the ball in on him. 1-1. If he'd gotten that ball up in the air back in the 4th inning, he would have taken one of the letters out of the Budweiser sign that's hanging from the 2nd deck out there. He really smacked it. Ball up high, 2-1. Well, the Rangers haven't had many of these kind this year. Fletcher can't reach that one, and Kingman continues to gash the ball to left field in this game. First and second, 2 outs.
Dave Kingman is a very prototypical power hitter where he likes to get those hands and arms extended. Good idea of the stroke right there, how good a plate coverage he actually has. He can handle anything over the entire plate, and that's difficult to pitch to.
Fastball low and away to Mike Davis. Davis had the big blow in the first inning and a 2 RBI double. After Kingman's RBI single, that made it 3-0 early against Bobby Witt. He walked in the third and grounded out in the fourth. 2-0. High and away, and it's ball 3. Mike Davis is a fast, aggressive defensive player. And he's been known here in Oakland as a guy who's done well in the clutch with runners on base. One of the big reasons he performed as he did last year when he was #2 in the team in RBIs, he started hitting the ball to left center a little more. Actually hit a few homers that way. Doesn't get a chance to swing the stick here. It's the second walk in the inning from Russell, and the bases are loaded with 2 outs. All this after 2 are out. Runners everywhere. And Alfredo Griffin at the plate. He's 0 for 3, but he's scored 2 runs. He's reached on a fielder's choice, went to second on a stolen base, and he's reached on a shortstop error and scored on a double. At the letters, Jose Canseco, who walked, is at third. Dave Kingman, who singled sharply, is at second. And Davis, Mike walked. He is at first. Right at Buechele, who knocks it down and doesn't have a play. It's one of those days. It looked catchable, but must have played a little trick on Steve there.
We had mentioned before about the difficulty for infielders and outfielders for picking up the ball coming off the bat. This slapped the other way, and I don't think Steve Buechele really reacted to it quickly. He probably did not see it very well. That is a difficult background. It's going to go down as an error on Steve Buechele.
Second Ranger error of the day. Thus no RBI for Griffin. And the hitter is Jerry Willard. It is 9-0. Outside, 1-1. Willard on the day is 1 for 3. He has singled, walked, and scored. Russell brought the breaking ball in on the hitter. 1-2. Bases loaded, 2 outs, a run in here in the 6th. Oakland leads it 9-0 on 8 hits. Pechoric waiting for that slow bouncer, and the inning is finally over. For the A's, a run on only 1 hit, 2 walks, and an error in the inning. They leave 3. They have left 8. After 6, it's Oakland by 9. Later in the game, we'll be selecting our True Value player of the game. True Value hardware stores and home centers. They've got what it takes. And as we go to the 7th inning, Jackie Moore has made a pitching change here. He's brought on the veteran right-hander Doug Baer. After CODIROLI pitched 6 innings, gave the Rangers nothing except 5 hits. Didn't walk anybody and struck out 4. A good outing for him. Looking for his 5th win of the year. Doug Baer is appearing in only his 2nd game. He's pitched 2 innings and given 3 hits and 2 runs for this club. He's a veteran right-hander that has seen action for St. Louis, Detroit.
Number 40, Doug Baer.
And now here he is in Oakland.
Leading off for the Rangers, right fielder,
They've needed some help in the pitching staff here and have gone out and got some. A lot of people on the injured list. And Ruben Sierra will lead off the 7th here for the Rangers. Baer overhand with a fastball on the outside corner. Out ahead of that off-speed pitch. 0-2. Ruben on the day is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. He reached on a fielder's choice. Something might be happening down in Anaheim. They've been in the 8th inning down there for a long time, with the Royals leading the Angels 6-2. Chop to the right side, into the Ranger dugout.
They had a 38-minute delay the other night when the lights went out, a power failure. Maybe there was a power failure with the players today.
Solar eclipse, I guess, is about the only thing that could have stopped them, but they could have flipped on the lights, I guess. No report of such solar activity on the coast today. 2-2 is the count. But the Rangers have been in the dark throughout this one. 9-0 A's. They got 3 in the 1st, 3 in the 3rd, and single runs in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And Ruben took a very close one there on 2-2. The count is full to the Ranger leadoff hitter in the 7th. Well hit. Left center. Nobody to get this one. Here goes Ruben around the bases. He's on his way to 2nd. He may go for 3. The relay will not be made as it's a stand-up triple, and there's some of the around the bases speed of Ruben Sierra that Buzz and I were wondering about a couple of innings ago.
Got a pretty good opportunity to see Ruben Sierra air it out there going from home to 3rd base, and also some of his power going the opposite way. That quick short stroke, and boy, he really rammed that thing into the gap in left center field and turned it on as he rounded 1st base. He was thinking 3 all the way. Ruben got there pretty quickly.
I should say so. He should have had express mail stamped on him when he came motoring into 3rd. Here's Gino Petralli. Well, you never know. 9-0, new pitcher in there. Who knows? Gino is 0 for 2. I saw a team score 9 in the 9th win and 9 in the 9th one day and still lose. But at least they made a game of it.
Yeah.
I think it was the Phillies and the Cardinals. You remember old Connie Mack Stadium up in Philadelphia.
Yep.
10-0 going into the 9th, and the Phillies scored 9 and had runners on base, and Dick Allen couldn't finish it off. So you never know, right? 0-2 is the count. Gino hits it well but foul down the left side. Swing fly ball, right center. It is in there, and the Rangers are on the scoreboard. Well, one of them finally fell in. And that's it for the shutout. Gino Petrelli gets his 7th RBI of the week and of the year.
Gino just looping one over Tony Phillips' head out there into right center field for the RBI, and that helps things a little bit. You come back some, and as you said, Bob, you never do know when you change pitchers that, after all, it is only the 7th inning. You get a few shots left at him.
Here's Buechele, swinging and missing at a breaking ball. Rangers 1 run on 7 hits. The A's have 9 on 8. Whipped it right by him, 0-2. Steve is really struggling in the series. He's 0 for 8 here. And he really wanted to do well coming out here. A lot of friends from his days down the road at Stanford in attendance. Laid off that one, a ball and 2 strikes. Royals coming into this ballpark tomorrow night. They'll play day games here on Tuesday and Wednesday. High and tight while the Rangers go down to Anaheim for 3 night games. We'll be with you Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 9:30 Texas time. Hope you can join us for the Rangers and the Angels. Bobby will be there. In fact, he'll be there this evening. The Rangers due to fly out of here about 5:40 this evening into Orange County Airport, John Wayne Airport down there. Two and two to Buechele. We're in the 7th. Oh, and Steve is still struggling. He's really been helpless with some of those outside breaking balls. First strikeout for Doug Bear. And the hitter is Scott Fletcher. Scott is 1 for 2. He hit the ball hard to the left center field gap with 1 out back in the 3rd, was stranded eventually at 3rd in that inning. Flied out to right field in the 5th. Hitting .289. Half swing. Easy play for Bhakti. Runner over to second with 2 outs, and the fans giving it to Scott a little bit, who slammed his helmet down. Very upset with himself. This guy is a competitor. He does not like to lose.
No, he does not. He also does not like to have a wasted at bat, which on the check swing a hitter would consider that to be. And he was just very disgusted with himself and slammed his helmet down. I don't blame him. Frustration of a day like this, having it at a bat when it looks as though the ball club might have a chance to get something going. Scott just doesn't like things like that.
Hey, you might as well get it out of your system when it's 9-1.
I would feel very badly if a person didn't get mad when something like this was happening.
That's right. O-ODDIBE is 0 for 3. Man in scoring position with 2 outs. Fastball missing, 1-1. That doesn't mean that you kids at your Little League game next week go take your 24-ouncer and bust up the water cooler, but you've got to be competitive to want to do your very best.
Yeah, there is a significant difference between making your living at a sport and playing it for the sport itself. You have to remember, these men are trying to put bread on their families' tables by their competitive successes.
O-ODDIBE, base hit, left center. The hitter slowed up, and we may have a play. Now they're going to have to hold him. Oh, Gino. With 2 outs, Gino got caught ball watching. He should have had his head down and been scoring on that play. And then he did the right thing after stopping by not trying to score, because he would have been out by 20 feet. But there's no reason to be watching the ball with 2 outs.
Now, Gino may have forgotten how many outs there were, and
as you mentioned, Bob, when you do make a mistake like that, don't compound it by making another mistake. He stopped at third, which was the right thing to do.
Yeah, at least the inning is still alive. Now we'll have Curtis Wilkerson up for the first time today. Curtis replaced Toby Harrah at second base in the 6th inning, and he hits one hard to right center. But the right fielder Davis got back there in a hurry. And the inning is over, and the base running blunder cost the Rangers a run, probably. But they pick up a run on 3 hits in the inning. They lead 2, and they've left 7. It's 7th inning stretch time in Oakland. A's 9, Rangers 1. On Sunday, June 22nd, after the Rangers play the A's, a special concert at Arlington Stadium, the 20th anniversary celebration of the Monkees, with special guests Herman's Hermits, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, and the Grassroots. They'll be coming down the street and walking to the ballpark. Take a trip down memory lane with the Monkees on Sunday, June 22nd. Ricky Wright will be there. He's the new pitcher here in the 7th inning, although I think Ricky tends a little bit more toward the C&W sound from Paris, Texas.
I believe so, yes.
Ricky, the left-hander, making appearance number 18. He's 1-0 with an ERA of 4.89. And the first hitter he faces is Stan Javier here in the 7th. 0-2 the count. Buechele gets a nice hop on that one. Sidearms it across to Pechoric. 1 down. And the hitter will be Tony Phillips. Been a busy man today with a sacrifice, a double that drove in 2. In 4 trips at the plate. Tony Phillips showed up for spring training early with the pitchers and the catchers. He was injured the latter part of last season, and as an injured player, he was able to report early. Donnie Hill, his prime competition at second base, didn't know that. And Donnie showed up a couple of days later, and the A's management wondered why, and Donnie said, "I just didn't know." Phillips, though, by his outstanding hitting in spring training, won the second base job. He hit over 400. He's hitting .280 throughout the season so far. And we saw him go get a ball in the outfield on a nice play earlier today, on a ball hit by Pete Incaviglia. Tony Phillips is from Atlanta, now lives in Hayward, which is south of here. Breaking ball low and in, 3-1. Down Ranger bullpen way, Mitch Williams is getting himself some work. It is fouled off the hitter. Mitch, the last time he worked was in the 16-inning ball game at Minnesota on Wednesday night when he pitched 3 scoreless innings and got the victory. He's 6-1. Mitch says, "I'm not used to being idle for 3 or 4 days in a row." So he's doing some throwing and may get in for an inning or so here. Well hit, right field, right at Ruben Sierra. He's a good-looking outfielder. Wright has retired the first 2. James Richard Wright, who is 27 years old and stands 6'3", 175. Fastball outside corner to Bruce Bhakti, who's 1 for 4. Ricky Wright's best professional season so far was an 81 at Albuquerque when he was 14-6 for the Dukes. And Pechoric will feed it right to him, and the inning is over. 1, 2, 3. After 7, 9-1 Oakland. We are back for the top of the 8th. Tom Paciorek will bat for the first time today. He replaced Pete O'Brien defensively. Pete had a good day at the plate, hitting the ball hard 3 times and going 2 for 3. Tom Paciorek is hitting .284 with 7 RBIs. This is his 96th at bat. Tom has 27 hits, and when you look at that figure, Buzz, it's a pretty good, healthy number of at bats for a guy who's playing the role Tom is playing with this young team.
Now, we mentioned about his contributions to the ball club, both being around the club, you know, the experience factor, the kind of guy he is, the very good personality, the competitive spirit. He's done it on the field, too, and that's the important thing.
Long one to left, close to the line. CANSECO back. It is gone. Tom Paciorek, his first homer of the year, and it's 9-2.
That is leading by example. Yeah, okay, we're down 9-1. Let's keep going. We still got a couple innings to play. And the veteran Tom Paciorek just crashes his first home run of the year. And there was no doubt about that. You like to see that from a veteran. I know it makes Tom happy, not just because it was the first time he touched all 4 this year, but coming to a ball game, give Pete O'Brien the rest of the afternoon off and be able to do something like this, it really makes you feel good, and it sparks the rest of the ball club too. That's a carryover effect.
Yes, sir, and it was Tom's 80th Major League home run. He hit 15 at Seattle in 1980, 14 the year after, and then 11 for the White Sox in '82. His first Ranger round tripper. Pete in Cavilla is 0 for 3, and it's 0-1. Pete had a good cut, 0-2. That was the first homer given up by Doug Baer this year, who also pitched for Cincinnati, in addition to the Montreal organization, St. Louis, and Detroit in his big league career. Pete takes one up high. 1-2. In Cavilla has hit 11. He has 5 game-winning RBIs, tying him with Larry Parrish on the squad. Larry did some swinging today. You got a brief glimpse of Wimpy in the dugout. There was a story in one of the airline magazines that they were passing around the clubhouse about Ranger characters of the past. You know, the kind of flaky guys. All of them were ex-Rangers except for one guy, Tom Paciorek. His picture was in there. He's something. In Cavilla strikes out. It's Bear's second K, and Pete is 0 for 4. George Wright will make his second plate appearance. The way Mitch Williams is throwing in the bullpen would indicate that he will pitch the 8th inning. There starts George out with a fastball and a strike. Wright came into the game. He was the first sub in the 5th inning, replacing Gary Ward in left field. 1-1. Wind is keeping things cool up here. It is warm in the sunshine here. Temperature in the 70s today. Well, the Angels were batting for a long time in the 8th. They only came up with 1 run. So it's Kansas City now leading in the 9th, 6-3 down in Anaheim. If the Royals can hold on, California and KC will be 3.5 back. George hits one well to right field. Going back is Davis at the wall, and he dropped it. He may have lost it in the sun at the last instant, Buzz.
Bob, it looked like he flipped his sunglasses down as he was trying to find the wall, and then looked back up with the shaded glasses down and just could not find it. And that is going to be a 2-base error on Mike Davis. That's something you do not see Mike Davis do very often, but as he flipped the glasses down, he was trying to find the wall, the warning track, and the ball when he looked back up, and that's just too much for one guy to concentrate on, quite honestly.
George hit the ball hard, got back there in a hurry, He's at second with one out. Here's Ruben Sierra. 9-2 is the score. Rangers have scored in each of the last 2 innings. Activity now in the Oakland bullpen as Ruben swings and misses. The right-hander Bill Mooneyham is throwing, or was. Maybe the wrong guy answered the phone. Popped up. Shading their eyes are the infielders. Who wants it? Second baseman Phillips. Alfredo Griffin saw the ball and looked up, and Phillips was on his side of second base.
Wind playing a few tricks with that ball, too. It's very high sky here, not much of a background, no little puffy clouds or anything to help break up that solid blue, and the wind was playing tricks with it also. That made it a very difficult play for Tony Phillips.
Here's Gino Petralli. Gino is 1 for 3, singled his last time to drive in the game's first run for the Rangers. And now heating up in the Oakland bullpen is the flamethrower Jose Rijo. Gino, grounder right side. First baseman and the pitcher. That's it. Rangers get a run in the 8th on the homer by Tom Paciorek. Right reaching on the air. He is stranded. The Rangers have stranded 8 runners today. After 7.5, it's 9-2 Oakland. Bottom of the 8th here at Oakland. Reminder, we'll be with you Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights. We'll load up all the gear and head down to Anaheim for you. 9:30 on those 3 evenings, Texas time on the Ranger Network. Hope you can join Buzz, Dave Burchett, and yours truly from the Big A in Anaheim. Rangers and the Angels. Looks like the spread will be 3.5 as the first place team heads down that way, and Mitch Williams, who was warming up for a while, will now pitch the 8th inning for the Rangers after Ricky Wright worked a 1-2-3-7. Nice little job by him, and now Mitch will get some work here in the mop-up situation with Oakland leading 9-2. It'll be for the A's, Lansford, Canseco, and Kingman. So Bobby figures, well, maybe in August or September, Mitch will have to throw to these guys in a crucial situation with some things important on the line, and why not face the 3, 4, and 5 guys right now here in June? And the first one is a fastball strike to Carney Lansford, who's 1 for 3. He has walked and scored and has a base hit. Described by Buzz earlier today as maybe the best pure hitter on the Oakland team. Open stance, facing left center. Gets a good look at the pitch. Gets a pretty good swing at it. Can O-ODDIBE reach it? Nope. Hit number 9. Now the hits are even at 9 apiece.
O-ODDIBE had a couple of things working against him there. It was difficult for him to pick the ball up coming off the bat. He did not get a real good jump, or not a typical O-ODDIBE McDowell jump. And the ball went out there and kind of died. It wasn't hit that sharply, and kind of a looping line drive that sank in front of McDowell for the single.
Now this should be an interesting matchup. The big rookie against Mitch Williams. These guys know each other. Mitch was up in the great Northwest at Spokane. And Canseco has played for Tacoma. And they were chatting around the other night, around the batting cage, like a couple of guys who were good friends but had a lot of respect for each other. Williams, who can throw very hard, and Canseco, who can hit very hard. 2-1. O-ODDIBE, can he get this one? Yes, with a nice backhanded stab. That one, too, was dying and diving straight into the turf.
O-ODDIBE able to get a good jump on this ball and pick it off about knee-high with the backhand. Nice play by McDowell, and that ball hit down toward the trademark, was again making its way away from McDowell toward right center field.
So CANSECO retires for the day, 0 for 3. He walked twice and scored 2 runs. The hitter is Kingman. Look out for this guy, the way he's been swinging the bat today. 2 hits, a sac fly, a walk. He scored twice and driven in 2. Five Oakland runs have scored today by men who have walked. A 6th run was scored by a man who reached on an error. The W's are what killed Bobby Witt in this ballgame. Working behind hitters throughout. The 1-1, Kingman skies it to short right field, and it'll be easy for Curtis Wilkerson, who had the glasses down in a hurry. Say one thing for Mitch Williams. He's faced 3 pretty big hitters here, and nobody has hit the ball hard.
Just a continuing saga of Mitch Williams this year, I think, Bob. Well, he has really done an outstanding job. And forget the 6-1 mark. That's not as impressive as the 40 strikeouts and only 20 base hits in over 31 innings.
And Davis manages a half swing. Mike has had a day when he's 1 for 2. He's walked twice, driven in 2 runs with a double. We're in the 8th. It's a final now. The Angels made some noise, but the Royals beat them 6-5. So they must have come up with a run in the 8th and 2 in the 9th, but fell short. So the Rangers, even if they lose, will stay 3.5 up on the KC and California ball clubs. Mitch came sidearm. 1-2. Mitch Williams, 21 years old. He's from Santa Ana, California. He's got some friends and family here. Living up in Oregon now. 2-2. Tried with a breaking ball and missed. Runner going. Popped up. Buechele hoping for room. Checking the stands, sliding, and then missing it. Steve slipped on the warning track. Very near the Oakland dugout.
That's a difficult part of the ballpark. Steve trying to slide to avoid running headlong into the dugout. And as he did, the ball coming back toward him. Very difficult play to judge, and looking up into that bright sky did not help at all either.
No Cadillacing on that play because it was 9-2. Steve was after that one. Here's the 3-2. Runner going again, sidearm, and Mitch walked him. Mitch threw some deliveries to that left-handed hitter that looked a little different than some of the ones he's thrown lately. He was going with a couple of sidearm pitches and some breaking stuff.
The batter.
Issuing the walk, 1st and 2nd, 2 outs, and here's Alfredo. He's reached twice on errors, once on a fielder's choice. He's 0 for 4, but he's been all over the bases. I still can't believe he scored from 2nd on a walk. With the bases loaded, nobody paid him any attention as he was rounding 3rd, and he just kept on going. And the pitcher one-hopped one to the plate. This was in Baltimore earlier this year, and he was able to score a 2-run walk. The count's 2-1. 19,132 in the ballpark today. Hoping their team has broken out of a terrible slump when they had lost 8 in a row, including 7 on a road trip. Now it appears they'll take 2 out of 3 here, and then maybe they'll give the Rangers some help by staying tough against the Royals. The 2-2 is fouled back to the screen. See you later, Alfredo. Went fishing, and he's 0 for 5. First strikeout for Mitch Williams, who works 1 inning, gives up 1 hit and 1 walk. For the Rangers, Buechele, Fletcher, and McDowell in the 9th. Texas needs 7 to tie. Here we go. Rangers want to get 8 and get out of here. Win it 10-9 and head for Anaheim. Buechele will start things off here in the 9th. We'll tell you a little bit about those Angels during this inning. They've got some guys having some pretty good years. Steve, though, is having a tough weekend. He's 0 for 9 in the series. Reggie Jackson is hitting .316 into today's action. These stats do not include today's. He's had 7 homers and 22 RBIs. The big story down there, of course, has been Wally Joyner, the rookie. Buechele, fly ball, short right field. Davis battling the sun, and I mean battling. Buechele is 0 for 4. Wally Joyner's hitting .287 with 19 homers and 49 RBIs. Brian Downing, the catcher, is hitting .284. And fascinating story of a comeback down there, Buzz, with Rick Burleson, the fine infielder, hitting .287.
Well, he has really made a fantastic comeback, too, all the way back from a couple of surgeries on that rotator cuff that he tore 5 years ago. He has battled it and battled it for a long time.
Fletcher fouling it out of play. Scott is 1 for 3 today. Doug Bear still in there for the Oakland Ball Club. Trying to go the full 3 innings in relief of CODIROLI so he could earn his first save of the year. A lot of folks say, how can you give a guy a save when he's protecting a 9-run lead? Well, they have a rule that if you pitch 3 complete innings, you can get one.
It used to be all you had to do was get 1 out. That was the original save rule.
2-1 the count. And of course, you can still do that by getting 1 out, but now when it's 24-1. We owe you a station break. We'll do it after this pitch to Fletcher, which is ball 3. And let's pause now. 5 seconds for a station identification. This is the Texas Rangers Baseball Network.
You're watching the Texas Rangers on KTVT Channel 11, Fort Worth, Dallas.
3 balls and a strike to Scott Fletcher. And he is aboard with O-ODDIBE McDowell coming up. That is the first walk issued by Doug Bear. O-ODDIBE is 1 for 4. He singled to left center his last time up. Snuck one over the shortstop's head. O-ODDIBE hitting .265. At the letters, a whistling fastball from the right-hander. With the victory, the A's would be 8 back of the Rangers. They'd be over 500 at home. Rangers would still be 2 over 500 on the road and 3-3 on this 9-game trip. O-ODDIBE tried to take it to left field on a breaking ball. 0-2. They're in the 8th now at Seattle. White Sox leading 5-4. All the other American League baseball is over. Everything's a final in the National League except for the Mets winning at home 4-2 over Pittsburgh in the 6th. All the visitors won today except for the Cardinals at Chicago. They got beaten extra innings. O-ODDIBE hits one well to dead center field. Going back is Javier, and he's got room 395 feet away. That's 2 outs. National League winners, the Giants at Houston, Dodgers at San Diego, Reds at Atlanta, Montreal at Philly, and the Cubs won at home 4-3. American League, Twins 7-3 at Cleveland, Milwaukee 7-3 at Boston, Toronto at home 9-6 over Detroit as Curtis, who lined out to right his first time, takes ball 1. Royals winning 6-5 at California. Baltimore 4-3 at home over the Yankees. That's the Major League action for today. Wilkerson right at the left fielder CANSECO, and this one is history. Rangers going to walk and leave one in the ninth. They stranded 9 runners in the game. Oakland wins it 9-2, and Buzz and I return to wrap it up in a moment. True Value recognizes Dave Kingman, the A's DH, as the player of the game today. Dave Kingman, who drove in 2 runs, scored 2, and had 2 hits in the ball game, besides a sac fly, will receive a $100 gift certificate from True Value hardware stores and home centers. They've got what it takes. Ranger pitching did not here today, Buzz. The walks hurt early, and it was just a case of not many strikes, and a good hitting team like Oakland took advantage early.
Yeah, and you cannot give a pitcher like Chris CODIROLI a 6-run lead to work with early in the ballgame. I still felt during the ballgame, too, that for the most part the Rangers were a little bit flat today, and we have not seen that happen very often. I know Bobby, if he sensed the same thing, will have an entirely different attitude on this ball club by game time tomorrow night. It should be an interesting series in Anaheim.
We will head to the Big A while the Royals come up here to Oakland, so maybe the A's will give the Rangers some help in that respect. Weird totals today. Rangers 2 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors. They left 9. Oakland 9 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors, and they left 10. CODIROLI the winner. He's 5-7. Bobby with the loser. He is 3-5. And the save goes to Doug Bear for 3 innings of scoreless relief. It is his first save of the year. It took 2 hours and 53 minutes to play it, and the Rangers lead Oakland by 8 games in the American League West. Join us again over most of these Ranger Baseball Network stations at 9:30 p.m. tomorrow for game 1 of a 3-game set with the California Angels. The executive producer of Ranger Baseball is Phil Crow. Today's game was produced and directed by Dave Burchett. Our studio director was Paul McConnell. And now this is Bob Carpenter along with Steve Busby saying so long, Ranger fans. From Oakland, the A's took 2 of 3 here. We'll pack it up and head down to Anaheim and see you tomorrow night.